Hey guys, today we have Srivatsa and he is having total 4 year of experience in Java, Spring Boot and microservices domain. And those who want to give same free mock interview, please fill out the form below in the description. So now let's get started. Hey, hello Srivatsa, how are you?
Yeah, hi Faizan. I'm doing good. How are you?
Yes, I'm also good. Shall we start?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
I'll
Can
get
you
start.
please, yeah,
Yeah,
introduce yourself and your recent project in brief?
yes. I'm Srivatsa. I'm from Andhra Pradesh.
Mm-hmm.
I have 4 years of experience with Java, Spring Boot, and Kafka.
Mm-hmm.
So recently, I have worked with some projects. There were legacy projects, and there were
Mm-hmm.
recent projects. We are now working on a multi-tenancy project.
Okay.
Before this project, I handled a complete project of thing called Unified Metadata Model, where we had used a complete pure Java concepts, where we had to take the user's XML's format and convert it into a
Jason.
scalable, JSON formats, or else uh, what I would say, an acceptable format of CSV, which a model takes it and that converts into an UML model, which is deployed in another microservice.
So how you
So
are converting that part?
so that was written by me. I have written a utility for it.
Mm-hmm.
So in my utility process this XMLs. I would say XMLs mostly. These XMLs are processed by my utility,
So
and
did you write whole custom code or is
yes,
you
it's a complete handwritten code.
okay? So like have you used threads in your project or in any uh
Yeah, there is another project that I have worked with threads on. So
okay.
we had a place we had to make a DB connection. So
Mm-hmm.
in one of our project, it's a mini project.
Mm-hmm.
So we had to connect the DB to get our schemas. So we
Mm-hmm.
had to use threads, and using threads we had to use that synchronizer to get the proper
Mm-hmm.
DB connection, and
Okay,
we use
okay.
it
So
singleton and rapid.
can you explain the life cycle of a thread?
Yeah, when thread gets created, right? It's in new state.
Mm-hmm.
So and then a thread always has a run method.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to use it for thread. It's thread dot start thread one dot start off.
Mm-hmm.
So
Correct.
when you start it, then it is in
Mm-hmm.
runnable state, and then
Mm-hmm.
when that running gets completed, it is in terminated state. Okay.
Okay, okay.
So during the runnable, you have your own, you can make
Mm-hmm.
it sleep, you can have that sleep function and it will have that sleep function. Then you have the wait function. You have
Mm-hmm.
the, you have something called as
Sleep.
yes, a sleep wait. And I think there
Mm-hmm.
is some other way.
Okay. So yes, you are correct. Let me brief you. So your answer, you said first is new, then runnable, then running, blocked,
Yes.
waiting, timed waiting, terminated, right?
Mm.
This is a complete life cycle of thread. Okay.
Yes.
So can you tell me the difference between sleep method and wait method?
Sleep is that
Uh-huh.
the thread is in a wait state for some time, and
Mm-hmm.
then the execution continues. But what happens with wait is that it needs a notify call from another thread. So let us say
Mm-hmm.
if I have a two tasks, one is executing a work,
Mm-hmm.
and and another task and another thread that I have kept it
Mm-hmm.
in wait position. So
Okay.
thread one it should call a notify call.
Mm-hmm.
Then this way it can catch it, and then it continues it work, or else it will not continue, and it will stay there
Mm-hmm.
forever.
Okay, okay. Okay, so what's the role of synchronized in thread safety and how does it different from using lock API?
Okay. I'll tell you about synchronized, because I'm not sure
Mm-hmm.
about the lock API. For
Okay.
synchronized, what happens is that when you have multiple threads, it puts a monitor lock. So when I say monitor lock, in the
Mm-hmm.
complete object itself, let's say you are running an object with a thread, and
Mm-hmm.
you put a monitor lock, and then any other thread cannot access that what's an object. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens with synchronized is that you are preventing a kind of a duplicate objects creation, or it's
Mm-hmm.
like let us say you want to let's say you take a aeroplane API, and you are just blocking a seat. So let us say
Mm-hmm.
two users are trying to book the same ticket, So if you
Mm-hmm.
put synchronized block around that, around the
Mm-hmm.
seat,
Mm-hmm.
it just blocks that particular seat only. Then
Okay,
like
okay.
then
Got
like
it.
with one will take it and the other one will check that one. It's not there.
Mm-hmm.
You can you can handle it differently then.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Guys, I would like to share one important thing with you. Actually, we had launched complete interview preparation material, structured step by step by myself, expert and MNC's interviewers. And the best part is that now no one need to go anywhere else to prepare interviews. There is a 99% chance that interviewers will ask questions from this material. So basically, it contains a lot of material categorized by experience level. Means each experience level has different material with all possible interview question answers for Java, Spring Framework, P1, Git, Spring Boot, Spring Security, Spring Data JP, Kafka, microservices, Java coding questions, Stream API coding questions, and many more. I have provided the link to get this in the below description. If someone needs this material, plus two real enterprise client projects for reference with video recorded session, plus one-on-one lifetime doubt sessions and referrals to the big MNCs, then they should check the interview preparation kit. I will provide the link for this as well in the description below. So now moving to our interview. And guys, before moving to our interview, I would like to share you one important thing. Like recently, Srivasa purchased our interview preparation kit, and I think he is happy now. So Srivasa, can you please share your feedback?
Yeah, sure, Faisal. So I have used this interview preparation kit, and
Mm-hmm.
honestly saying my exposure, I have been
Mm-hmm.
going through many YouTube materials and all,
Mm-hmm.
but to keep that in a single kit,
Mm-hmm.
that was really helpful. So
Okay.
that I can let's say in future I want to get a quick revision on anything, I can just refer your interview kit. I can
Mm-hmm.
get I can get what are these concepts and
Mm-hmm.
all. Like if I miss anything, I can just get
Mm-hmm.
it. But so thank you for
Correct.
this, Faizan. So
Yeah. Thank you.
I would like to I would like other peers also to use this interview kit. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, thank you for this
Okay.
interview kit.
Okay, Srivasa, thank you for your feedback. So, moving to our interview. So, can we call weight outside of a synchronized block? And if yes, so what will happen? Or if not, then what will happen?
Uh, if we call wait outside a synchronized block,
Mm-hmm.
what will happen? So so I think we should not call it, because what happens is that you're actually calling wait to release a monitor log.
Mm-hmm.
You're like uh, I would say you're actually releasing a monitor log so that some other thread can go into it and maybe perform
Mm-hmm.
another operation.
Mm-hmm.
But if you keep it outside and the thread will may wait forever.
Mm-hmm.
There is I would say an outside a synchronized block. I think it will cause an issue, but I'm not really sure. I haven't executed that part.
Mm-hmm.
So for me I would say it should always be in a synchronized block, so that
Mm-hmm.
so
So it will, yeah, you are correct. It will throw an error exception.
yes,
The exceptions like illegal monitor state exception.
exactly,
Mm.
exactly.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so tell me how would you configure and use a custom thread pool executor?
So we have used a thread pool executor. So one thing, we
Mm-hmm.
have our core pool size. One is our maximum pool size, and we have
Mm-hmm.
our array, like I would say, blocking queue, and then
Mm-hmm.
our custom thread executors. So
Mm-hmm.
then, yeah, I mean, we have minimum pool size, maximum pool size,
Mm-hmm.
and we have that time limit, how much keep alive thread alive time limit, and that array blocking queue, what should be our blocking queue. Then we have our thread executor pattern, what which kind of thread factory we want to use, and also we have something called as let us say if our time limit exceeds, how should we
Mm-hmm.
deal with that? Should we discard it or should we keep it the same thing? That's the things we have it.
Mm-hmm.
So what in my project, what we have used is that we have
Mm-hmm.
built our own threadful executors.
Mm-hmm.
So we actually poll something from the recent project that I'm working on. We actually created a event notification distribution system
Mm-hmm.
where
Okay.
we poll the data from DB, in a regular
Mm-hmm.
intervals,
Mm-hmm.
and we use Kafka for it, and we
Mm-hmm.
we transform the data, and we publish it into we transform it, we sometimes create
Okay, okay.
reports,
Got it, got
we
it.
sometimes do other things.
Okay, so tell me, what does the volatile keyword guarantee?
So volatile keyword, what it will do is that, so let us say you have some multiple threads running on your system.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens with volatile is that uh, the threads will then get, like, two threads can have
Mm-hmm.
memory. Like, what happens internally with a thread is that in thread you
Mm-hmm.
have your own heap memory, you have your own memory, you have a say, you have your individual pointers. Okay. So what
Okay.
happens with volatile keyword is that volatile keyword
Mm-hmm.
will keep that variable. I think the heap memory, if I'm not wrong,
Mm-hmm.
and your, like, if anything you execute with your one thread, the
Mm-hmm.
data will get reflected in the volatiles, volatile variable. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so like let us say if another thread is executing another process
Mm-hmm.
and it refers to that variable in the top volatile variable,
Mm-hmm.
so both threads can have same data. So that's the thing.
Mm-hmm. Correct, correct. So tell me, if multiple threads update a shared volatile variable,
Yes.
is data integrity guaranteed?
Data integrity, like, when we say about data integrity,
Mm-hmm.
it should be a single thing. Like, when I would say, like, let us say if three or four threads keep changing a value, data integrity, data doesn't, like, you don't have the same data everywhere. So that
Mm-hmm.
will cause a data integrity violation if I'm not wrong. I'm not sure if that throws an exception,
Mm-hmm.
but like, at least, like, you should have your own data. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm not exactly sure about
Okay,
how you
okay,
should articulate it, but this is like,
okay,
data.
okay. So
Okay.
let me tell you, like in short, the answer is no,
Okay.
because only visibility is guaranteed, but not atomicity.
Yes, exactly.
Got it?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So do you know about atomic classes?
Oh, no, no, I'm not
No, no.
sure about it. So I worked
Okay.
with generic classes and
Uh,
normal static
okay.
subclasses.
So the atomic classes are very useful if someone working on threads. They provide lock-free thread-safe operations. There is some advanced concept compare and swap.
Okay,
For
okay.
example, I think you have worked on like atomic integer, atomic boolean.
Oh, yes, yes, yes,
These are
yes.
variables. So see, these are inbuilt classes.
Okay, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Okay, I think this one I have heard
Okay,
before.
okay, got it. So moving ahead, do you know about race condition?
Um, no, 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 sorry, I not.
Okay, okay. Okay, so when multiple threads access shared data concurrently and at least one modifies, so it leading to unpredictable results.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So that is a race condition. Okay, no worries. Moving ahead. Can you tell me the difference between inheritance, encapsulation, abstraction, and polymorphism?
Yeah. So, like, these four are the basic four OOPS concepts.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I would say, like, inheritance is where you can call
Mm-hmm.
your parents' methods, like, a subclass,
Mm-hmm.
a normal subclass can call a parents' method. So, and then abstraction is nothing but abstraction is nothing but
Mm-hmm. Okay.
hiding the data, hiding the methods from
Mm-hmm.
the, real implementation, like, you
Mm-hmm.
just call it. And then
Mm-hmm.
encapsulation is binding the data, like,
Mm-hmm.
you declare your data as private
Mm-hmm.
methods, and, like, you use a setter and getter to access it. And then polymorphism is nothing but having the same method name, but, like, there is something called as
Mm-hmm.
method overloading, and method overriding comes under polymorphism.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. So can you tell me how method overloading is different from method overriding?
So method overloading is nothing but you have same method name, but you have
Mm-hmm.
different variables. Like, the number of
Okay.
variables change.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So
Correct.
that, but what happens with method overriding is that you have
Mm-hmm.
another class. Like, let us say you have two
Mm-hmm.
methods. So, no, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, let's say you have two classes. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you have, like, say, some one method in parent class, and
Mm-hmm.
in a child class you want to have the
Mm-hmm.
same method, but you want to override it. So you can use other override, and you can
Mm-hmm.
have the same method with same number of parameters,
Mm-hmm.
and you can use an override. What happens is that you now your base class,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so the child's class method is called, or else in generally the parents one should be called.
Okay, okay. Can you overload a method by just changing the return type?
Sorry.
Can you overload a method by just changing the return type?
Mm, I think that's not possible because
Yes,
because
that's not possible.
yeah, that's
Return
not
type
possible.
alone is not sufficient.
Exactly. Like,
Mhm.
because like, that the concept of method reading is all about
Hmm.
method name and that the number of
Okay.
parameters.
Okay. What happens if you try to override a static method?
Oh no, static methods cannot be override because
Hmm.
they come with the classes. Like,
Class level.
yeah, it's class level. So even if you
Hmm.
try to override it, it will be a compile time issue. So
Okay.
you'll
Okay.
get an red
Okay.
line.
So can we call both this method and super method in the same constructor?
This method and
And super.
super method. I mean, this method and super method. I think that's not possible because like, when you call super method, you are just calling your parent constructor. So this will again call your constructor. If I'm not wrong, that will be a multiple recursion that will be happening, and it will cause a problem. If I'm not wrong, like, I haven't used this,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
like,
it's not possible. We
yes,
cannot use both, but
exactly.
one can be the first statement, only one.
Oh,
Mhm.
yeah, because like, does it loop, like, if I'm not wrong, like, it will try to create
Uh,
it will just try to create the object, or else like, it should throw in compile time issue. So
mhm.
anything one of these things should happen.
Okay, okay. Okay, so tell me, when would you prefer an abstract class over an interface and vice versa?
Abstract class over an interface and vice versa,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So I would say, like, when I'm trying to implement the low level design. So let us say there are like, I would say I have worked on this. So we have an interface, like, what
Mm-hmm.
mainly, why do we create an interface and why are we, like, using that interface to create our own classes, is that
Mm-hmm.
this we use it for strategy patterns.
Mm-hmm.
So in strategy patterns, what we can do is that using an interface,
Mm-hmm.
you can inject your own objects. So let us say,
Mm-hmm.
like, I have a shape interface. I
Mm-hmm.
can, and I want to use it somewhere else. Like, I want to calculate area. So
Mm-hmm.
when I create a shape interface, I can inject what I need. Should I need a box object, or
Mm-hmm.
should I need a, like, square object? So this is where I use it. And
Okay.
what happens with abstract classes is that you can use that as a factory patterns. So in
Mm-hmm.
factory patterns, what do you do is that, like, let us say I have an abstract class, like, let us say square ones and circle ones. Okay. So I can use two abstract classes, like, which take these things. And there is
Mm-hmm.
another class which extends this abstract classes. So what happens is that, like, we are technically, what we are doing is that using factory patterns at that time,
Mm-hmm.
we like, we enforce, like, what methods we exactly need. So this will be layer because with abstract class you can't create an object. So
Mm-hmm.
that's why, like, these two are mainly used for interfaces, I would say
Mm-hmm.
low level design.
Mm-hmm.
So in day to day uses, I think I have not used it that much, but mainly
Okay,
in low
okay.
level
It's
design we
fine.
use it.
Correct. What is constructor chaining and yeah, tell me first what is constructor chaining? Do you know?
Constructor chaining, if I'm not wrong, like, are we, like, calling super method? So
Mm-hmm. Calling one constructor from another.
yeah. So let us say you're creating a
Mm-hmm.
multiple chain of subclasses. So
And
then you can
okay. So
call
next question is how it is handled in inheritance.
um, inheritance. Then like, we can just call it by super method, but
Mm-hmm.
handling it, like, you're calling any kind of an exception that
Mm-hmm.
it might throw. Is it the,
Yeah, in
like,
inheritance, the superclass constructor is always called the first.
yes, it's always
Mm-hmm.
called superclass is called. When you say handled, are you asking that, like, no, let's say if it throws an exception, is that the, like, when
No,
it's
no,
the,
no, no. Just
so
I just wanted to ask like
yeah, I
how.
mean, we can just
Mm-hmm.
call it by super method. So using
Mm-hmm.
super method, and you declare,
Mm-hmm.
I would say, your variables, or
Mm-hmm.
else, like, you can use this keyword and then
Okay. Okay, so tell me, can polymorphism be achieved with private, static, or final methods?
polymorphism. Sorry, polymorphism can be achieved. Uh, no, I think, like, private, static, and final
Final.
methods. No, these things can't be achieved because I'll tell you why. I'll
Mm-hmm.
tell you because the main purpose of polymorphism is to call your own call your
Mm-hmm.
method. It's to do method loading or method overriding. So let
Mm-hmm.
us say you call your you call the function with you call your you have your main block within the within that private functions, then it might
Mm-hmm.
work. But technically, you in real life scenarios, you just create a class. You just create a class and you try to
Mm-hmm.
call it from outside. Okay. So
Okay.
then it doesn't work. You create a private methods, then polymorphism doesn't make sense at that time. So
Yeah,
even
yeah,
fine,
correct.
you make a method finally, you can't override it.
Mm. Okay. Uh, can you have an abstract class without any abstract methods?
An abstract class without an abstract method. Um, I don't think even though it is possible, that doesn't make sense. So first thing I don't think it is not possible.
No, it is
But
possible,
okay, even though it is possible, it doesn't make sense to
but it's
create
not a
an
good practice.
yeah, it doesn't make sense
Mm-hmm.
to create an abstract class because you're not even
Mm-hmm.
going to use it anyways. You can at least have an
Mm-hmm.
interface without any methods because you can use it for metadata.
Mm, correct, correct. Okay, so tell me, why is Spring Boot preferred for microservices?
Uh, so one thing is Spring Boot. It's a lightweight application. I would say
Mm-hmm.
when I say lightweight and easy, it's easily
Mm-hmm.
configurable.
Mm-hmm.
So if you say previously what happened when I have worked on the legacy project, by the way. So
Mm-hmm.
when I worked on that one, so what is the major complexity? You have to write your web XMLs. You have to write your dispatcher servlet.
Mm-hmm.
How should the dispatcher servlet work? So, and then you have to define which page you have to map to. Okay, so all these kind of things you have to write it and you have to push it to your Tomcat server. So you have to
Mm-hmm.
create a WRFL and you have to push it to your Tomcat server. So these kind of
Mm.
things, it's not easy to build an normal application
Normal application.
without a Spring Boot. So, but what Spring Boot is that it's a ready to start. You just write your code and then leave it up
Mm-hmm.
on Spring Boot and it will just
Mm-hmm.
create it on it. So that's why
Uh,
with microservices it's easy and
it's easy.
using Faint
It
client.
has Spring Cloud integration, easy
Yes.
integration,
Yes,
right?
and also mainly Spring Cloud we can use Fiend client and all.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. So what does the Spring Boot application annotation do?
It has three subparts.
Mm-hmm.
So one thing it is auto configuration, and
Mm-hmm.
one thing is component scan,
Mm-hmm.
and the other one I'm not really sure. But these two,
Configuration.
yeah, auto configuration.
No, no,
Uh,
only configuration.
Okay, okay. So what happens with component scan is that it will check the entire package, the way how it should fetch all
Mm-hmm.
the things. So using component scan, it will fetch where are my component classes, where are my service, where are my controllers, where is my repository, and then configuration with auto configuration, it checks what are my configuration classes, should I start which bean should I create initially. So these kind of things are taken care by Spring
Mm-hmm.
Boot.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. Can we use them separately?
Sorry.
Like you said, Spring Boot application annotation combines three annotations, right? Can
Yes.
we use those three annotations separately?
Maybe we can use. I'm not really sure. If without
Yes, yes,
Spring
we
Boot,
can use. Let's say we if
exactly.
we want to use two out of three, we can
Exactly.
use.
So we can just annotate only those two.
Mm-hmm.
In real life, I haven't seen that one because
But
whatever
yes,
Spring Boot
we
application, we
can.
just use at the red Spring Boot application and
Mm-hmm.
on the main method.
Okay. Okay. Can you tell me how auto configuration work internally?
So in auto configuration, it checks for the configuration classes. So
Mm-hmm.
whatever in the configuration classes you have your own
Mm-hmm.
either two things. You can have your beans and before even the configuration, you have
Mm-hmm.
after configuration and these
Mm-hmm.
things. So it creates its own chronological order. We can use order as well as the rate order. So
Mm-hmm.
mainly for components, I you check that one. So maybe in configurations too, I think we can use at the rate order, and
Mm-hmm.
we can say which things can what happens with auto configuration is that it will
Mm-hmm.
create all the configurations that is required and all the immediate bins that it should create. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so
Okay.
and it will then it will go to the other part, like, maybe
Mm-hmm.
creating the controller beans, creating
Mm-hmm.
the
Okay, okay.
first component beans.
Okay. So how does Spring Boot decide which configuration class to load?
Um, Configuration class to that. Maybe based on the application.yaml, if I'm not wrong. So either one thing, what I have seen is that we have something called as conditional on bin, like, maybe if that's the case,
Now,
so
there
we
are two
can.
things. One is class path and another is
Yes,
conditional annotations.
yes. So I have checked. I know this part that is conditional on bin. So,
Mm-hmm.
like, we can use something called as a conditional on bin. If that is, if
Mm-hmm.
it's present, then, like, it will create its own bin. Or
Mm-hmm.
else, like, if not, and then we can use, like, after configuration as well. So when, like,
Mm-hmm.
like for Kafka, I have seen this for Kafka. So,
Okay.
like, after defining Kafka properties, we can define our
Mm-hmm.
own bins.
Okay. Can you disable or customize an auto configuration?
Uh, I think we can, but I haven't used it. So with
Yes, we can.
yeah, because auto configuration, like, see, that's just an
Mm-hmm.
annotation, right? So
Mm-hmm.
we can remove that annotation and we can apply our own.
Mm. Okay, okay. What are Spring Boot starters? Why are they important?
So Spring Boot starters, we have, like, mainly Spring Boot starter web, starters API,
Mm. Okay.
and then, like, we have many others. We have actuator as
Mm.
well. We have starter security too. So
Mm.
what happens is that it integrates everything. So, like, Spring Boot starter web or starter test. What these
Mm.
things is that it brings
Okay.
all the
So let
dependencies
me
to
tell
only
you,
table.
sorry. Uh, let's say you want to create some Rust APIs with
Yes.
JPA or H2 database. What starters would you use?
With H2, I think we have H2 database dependency, and then
Mm.
REST API that Spring Boot starter web is good enough.
Mm.
Okay, because it will have that port and all. And
Correct.
then data JPA. When you say data JPA, we can use JDBC. I mean, I think JDBC is not required. So I
Mm.
think Spring Boot starter JPA, that
Mm.
is good
Yes, yes.
enough. And
Three
H,
are mandatory.
yes,
Starter web, starter data JPA, starter H2.
yes.
Mm. Correct. Okay, so how do you configure application properties like through properties file or YAML file?
We are using YAML file at the moment.
YAML file. Okay, so why would you choose YAML over application properties?
First thing, it has good readability, I would
Mm-hmm.
say, because
Mm-hmm.
Spring Boot application you have to write that's a key value pair. So
Mm-hmm.
one thing goes for a toss, then whole, like, I mean, you have to check where did it go wrong. But
Mm-hmm.
the YAML file, right, you don't need to repeat the keywords again and again. You have to, like,
Mm-hmm.
just mention it. It has a proper indentation,
Mm-hmm.
what it should load, and etc. So
Mm-hmm.
that's the main criteria why YAML file is good. So internally, I don't know, like, if YAML file loads quicker or something. That's something I need to
Mm-hmm.
check.
No, I think they are, I mean, similar, but only we can see there might have some error issues. I mean, chances are high, like because
Yes,
indentations are very important in YAML.
exactly,
So
exactly.
human error are high only this
Yes.
thing. Okay, so tell me what is what does Spring dot profiles dot active do, and how can you activate the profile at runtime?
So what we do, like, I think we have something called as when we have Spring Boot run, right? We use Gradle
Mm-hmm.
for it. So dot Gradle boot run, I think we use boot run and use
Mm-hmm.
Spring dot active, Spring dot dev dot active, and we mention
Mm-hmm.
what profile we want to use it. I need to check
Mm-hmm.
that command, what exactly we write it for.
Mm-hmm.
So, but what actually we do is that we have profiles, we use profiles in our project. So we annotate with our profile, like let us say the one project, like, we have to mention
Mm-hmm.
what environment is the top left. So what
Mm-hmm.
we have to do is that we mention the profile annotation and, like, we return that string. Okay, we have
Mm-hmm.
written, like, on that class, we return that string. What string it should be? It should be in which environment. So that's the profile part we had done. And, like, there are other more, like, you can disable those few components, like, which you
Mm-hmm.
want to use it on prod but not on UAT. So these
Mm-hmm.
kind of things you can do it.
Okay. Okay. Can you override a property defined in application properties?
Uh, I think we can. So, like, so you have in application you have YAML, so you have some properties record. So let us say
Mm-hmm.
using a profile.
Mm-hmm.
Using a profile, you can in another one you can
Mm-hmm.
write your own property. So
Mm-hmm.
based on this order, that when it is loading that profile,
Mm-hmm.
the property in application.yaml gets overridden.
Mm-hmm.
So this is my understanding on how it
Mm.
gets override. So yeah, I mean this is my understanding. So I'm not really sure.
Yeah, yeah, we can override. Spring Boot has a well-defined precedence hierarchy,
Yes, yes. So first
right?
thing is I think profiles one, and then the
First one is
second.
command line arcs.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, in that
Mm.
case, yeah, then yeah, command line args and then application.yaml.
Mm.
Yes.
Okay. How would you package and run a Spring Boot application as a jar or war?
Yeah, so what we can do is that we have Gradle, first thing I have worked on Maven,
Mm-hmm.
then Gradle. So we have something called as clean build. So
Mm-hmm.
what clean build does is that it removes all the target, whenever
Mm-hmm.
we create a Spring Boot application,
Mm-hmm.
we build it. All that files are created in the
Mm-hmm.
TGT location. Okay. In that TGT location, you can have your own what it
Mm-hmm.
needs to be what var it needs, what dependencies are needed.
Mm-hmm.
So it will create a jar or var
Mm-hmm.
based on your properties. So I worked with jar. So
Mm-hmm.
when you create a jar, so you have that Spring Boot jar, and then
Mm-hmm.
using that jar, we write hyphen boot run, and
Mm-hmm.
then you can use it profiles, and then as you said your own
Mm-hmm.
I would say environment variables. So we
Mm-hmm.
use our PowerShell, we had to set some environment variables.
Mm-hmm.
So and then we had to run it. So these kind of things we have done it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's
Okay,
how I
okay.
think it works.
Okay, okay. Moving ahead. Uh, how do you map an entity in a Spring Data JPA? Like, tell me
Uh,
the important annotations.
So we can use something called as column. We have first thing
Mm-hmm.
table and entity. So you have to use table and entity to let
Mm-hmm.
Spring Boot know that
Mm-hmm.
this is a column. Okay. When you use entity and table, then automatically if you use an entity, at the rate ID should be there.
Mm-hmm.
So and then you have your column. So we
Mm-hmm.
use a native queries for our project. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever in the table is there, we have to match the table, and we have to use at the rate column, and our own
Mm-hmm.
attributes used to then map it to the ORM mapping used to happen, and
Mm-hmm.
then these things are get loaded, and then we get it
Mm-hmm.
into one entity. So in one of our legacy project, we used it to use the result set, and then
Mm-hmm.
using the result set, we use it to map each object manually. So that's a
Mm-hmm.
nitpicking thing. But here,
Okay.
with the ORM, this thing was smooth.
Mm-hmm. Okay. What happens if you forget entity annotation?
Uh, First thing, the Spring Boot won't recognize it. So, and you
Mm-hmm.
can't use it in your JP repository. It will say that
Mm-hmm.
this is not an entity, and we can't use that one.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't do your own custom queries for it. So find by
Mm-hmm.
ID or find by entity. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it won't work. So you can't even
Okay.
use it with JP repository.
Mm-hmm. Okay. What's the difference between CRUD repository and JP repository?
Uh, if I'm not wrong, JPA repository gives you some methods let us say you can use find by value, find by this one,
Mm-hmm.
find by particular
So JPA
particular.
repository includes CRUD repository and add more
Yes,
features. It extends
yes,
CRUD repository.
exactly. That's my understanding.
Like
So I think
pagination,
yes,
sorting,
yes, yes,
batch operations.
yes, yes.
Mm, okay. Uh, okay, so how do methods names like find by name and status work in Spring Data JPA?
So it works based on your variable names. So
Mm-hmm.
let us say we have used something called as find by QID. So
Mm-hmm.
what happens is that it takes that variable name,
Mm-hmm.
and it checks with the whatever entity you have written it, right? The
Mm-hmm.
variables it
Mm-hmm.
with that variable names, it doesn't, the first letter will be always be a capital, and then the following letters
Mm.
will go. So
Okay.
based on this, it will check it. Okay, so that's how I think it works.
Okay. Uh, okay. Got it. Uh, how do you write custom queries?
So with custom queries, we actually use query, and we use native query for it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, native, we use a native query a lot, like in
Mm-hmm.
our projects, because the thing is that with sometimes our normal queries, Spring Boot queries,
Mm-hmm.
is that we cannot. I mean, we had some limitations in using
Mm-hmm.
it, but like with our question queries, is that we can use a like a person who's good with SQL can write
Mm-hmm.
it. So we use that select star and we use
Mm-hmm.
it all the variable names, and then what should
Okay.
it search? What's the parameter system?
Okay. What are some common performance issues in JP relationships?
Performance.
JP relationships like one to one, many to many, one to many, many to one. So
Uh,
these are JP relationships, right?
yeah, I'm not really sure. Like,
Okay. The first one is n plus one select problem. This is a
oh,
common problem. Second may be excessive lazy loading. Third may be
oh,
insufficient fetch strategies.
oh,
But we can overcome the situation. Like we have a solution of n plus one, right?
oh.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So, mhm. Okay. So yes, sorry, what's it's done from my end.